so this is another one where I made a review for this a while ago, but it turns out the audio was all messed up in it, so I gotta redo it. So Django Unchained, obviously huge Quentin Tarantino fan, looking forward to it a lot. He's always kind of hinted at his love for spaghetti westerns. I think it was really evident in Inglourious Basterds. It was also in a lot of other films too, and I was really excited to see him doing a full-on western, especially with the cast, and the fact that it was set in the focus of slavery, which really complicates the whole plot of it in a way that westerns really never have. Now, like Inglourious Basterds, it has its origins in a kind of obscure old movie, this one based on an Italo-Western Django. Inglourious Basterds, correctly titled, without the spelling mistakes, was also a different movie, just kind of taking the plot, or the titles, and some other things. From here, they have some of the songs from that original movie. Other than that, it's a wildly creative and original film, and definitely one of Tarantino's most violent. This movie was a bloodbath. It was just every time someone got shot, it was like spewing out on the screen, and it was very intense. Also, some other parts of just gruesome brutality. And really to bring focus to this period and its brutality with slavery. And yes, slavery has been covered in many, many films and different works of art. And this movie's not offering anything really different on the mentality of it. Even in some of the best works about slavery, they do kind of gloss over some of the deeper brutality. And this movie really doesn't do that yet again because it's Tarantino, but there are some vicious sequences in this movie that really are quite affecting. And they actually play into the effects for some of the characters that it's really handled quite well. That's one of my big compliments going to Christoph Waltz, who is more so the protagonist in this movie than he was in Inglourious Basterds, and gives almost just as good of a performance. He carries the movie really well. His dialogue, of course, is fantastic, but he just delivers it. It's so genuine. He plays this character while he does kill people, but he is very sympathetic, and you really feel for this character because he really cares about what's going on. He really does seem very effective and emotional about what he witnesses on these plantations. And there are just some amazing scenes that go along with that he captures so well, and that go hand in hand with the other amazing performances in this movie. And the big one here, Leonardo DiCaprio, the one everybody's been talking about. I love Leo, but he tends to play kind of the same character. Even in some of his best performances, he kind of has the same sort of role. But here, this is completely different. Yes, I mean, some of his characteristics do really shine through. And he's like a lot of Tarantino villains where he's really flamboyant and comical, but under that is this really dark, antagonistic violence. And when that shines through, he really does a good job of channeling it and making you absolutely hate him. And at other times, it's his casual approach to these really awful things that make you despise his character because he's so emotionally detached from these awful things that he's doing. And even more so, he's entertained by them. And he has some great monologues in there too, just fantastic. But Jamie Foxx, who I feel like kind of gets pushed to the side when you're talking about these other two performances, he is really very good. He is very funny when he needs to be, but also when he's doing the dramatic sequences, he's really good at that too. And like the movie itself, it does a good job of balancing the fact that he's kind of the butt of a lot of jokes, but at the same time is this violent retribution-seeking character. The thing about this movie is, in the same sense of a lot of Tarantino movies, but this is probably the funniest one I think there is, with some really hysterical scenes, of course, the cameo by Jonah Hill, and that entire KKK sequence is really hysterical. I mean, it does the same thing. It establishes the same thing that a lot of Tarantino scripts really do well, is having this really off-pace yet realistic dialogue where they're having a conversation about something that is so far removed from the underlying drama and seriousness of it that is hysterical, but at the same time daunting. And that's the thing with the whole movie, is it stretches, out to like the greatest lengths of absurdity, but to make you realize what is so serious about it. And it does that great job of using its comedy to have a greater purpose. And sometimes it's just really funny, and just that. But when it does get to its emotional and dramatic parts, it is as good on that end as it is when it's trying to be funny. And there is kind of a split towards the end of the movie. It really does kind of shift away from its comedy. There's still some great last laughs in there. A lot of them are from Samuel L. Jackson, who is just the most ridiculous character. Maybe a little repetitive, but it is just so funny that I don't think I care. So amazing at times. The music, just the way scenes are built up, and the tension that Tarantino just makes so palpable in his movies, these build-ups to these huge blowouts. I mean, if you thought the bar scene in Inglourious Basterds was a great shootout, I mean, there is one that is just like 30 times that if you haven't seen it already. But if you're a Tarantino fan, you most likely have already. And my only really big problem, and I wouldn't say it's too big, it's that the last half hour of this movie does kind of drag. Not in the sense that it's slow, because his movies tend to be long, drawn-out scenes at times. It's the kind of build up to these big climaxes, but it's after one of the biggest climaxes of the movie that you kind of feel like it's starting the fizzling out phase, the denouement of the movie, but the main conflict is still really there. And you kind of lose sight of the main problem of this movie, and I kind of forgot that it still needed to be resolved, and that's really my only problem, but it's still epic. Like, the end part is still really great, but it kind of happens after what you think is, like, the big blowout of the movie. Definitely up there, you know, towards the top of my list for my favorite movies of the year. Gets a 10 out of 10. One of a couple this year. And because it really did continue to sit well with me, I might like Inglourious, I'm pretty sure I like Inglourious Basterds still somewhat better, but that's a movie where I loved it more and more the more I saw it. I didn't feel that way initially, so we'll see. Goddamn, this movie is just at its height, so much fun, and it was just fantastic. I loved this movie.